Access. Hey, this is Mike from Minimal 3DP. And today, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to image an SD card and install and configure Klipper. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, for me, the first step of the process is to download and install the Raspberry Pi imager. And I'm going to use that to install my operating system image, and then we'll move on to install Klipper. Now, right along with this, we want to go over to BigTreeTech's GitHub page and download the image for the CB1. Now, I'm using the CB1 Debian 12 minimal kernel 6.6 image, so I've already downloaded that. Now, we will notice, and we'll have to update the image, that this image is almost a year old. So with that being said, let's switch over to the Raspberry Pi imager. And okay, so I have the Raspberry Pi imager open here, and I've already downloaded the CB1 image. I want to start with device, scroll down to the bottom here, and just select no filtering because I'm not using an actual Raspberry Pi branded board. So I hit next here. On the OS, you want to scroll down and select custom. So we're using an image from our machine. In my case, here's the CB1 image. I'm going to hit open and then hit next. And I need to select the SD card here. If you notice, I have a 32 gig SD card right here at the top. It's already formatted. If you need it formatted, you can hit back here. And there is an option to erase. And you also have some other utilities you can do for the SD card. Then custom, select CB1, hit next, then select that SD card. And right now, I'm just going to hit right. Now, I should note that this is going to erase the SD card and reformat it. So just be aware you don't want to be using an SD card that has something on it. If it's the SD card that came with your printer, you probably want to look your documentation on there and sample prints are on there. You might want to pull those off. So I'm going to hit right, and this probably will take anywhere from, usually it's 3 to 5 minutes, but sometimes it could be longer. I'm going to hit right. In my case, on my Mac, it's asking me for my password. So I'm going to type that in. That'll take me a minute because I'm a slow typer. And it should probably prompt me again here. It doesn't, that's fine. And so I'll be back in a minute after that's done installing. So once the install is complete, or at least on the SD card, I need to point out that based on this version, I can't do the next edits on a Mac. I need to do it on the Windows machine. So I'm going to switch over real quick and just show you on Windows. In that case, I'm just running a virtual machine. And you'll notice here I've connected this boot drive represents the files that are on the SD card. I just need to go over here, right click system.cfg, and I don't want to open this in WordPad. I've installed and I'm using Notepad++. So I'm just going to click on that and open them up. And we're going to look down here and make some changes so that we can access my Wi-Fi network. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up here and I'm going to change the name of this host. So I've uncommented the host, and let me just delete this and put the equal sign back, quotations, and then I'll paste in my name, which is going to be CR10 Smart Pro. Down here in the Wi-Fi section, I'm going to uncomment the Wi-Fi SSID because I'm going to need that for my router name. And then I'm going to uncomment right here for the Wi-Fi password. So both of those are uncommented, and I'm going to change this. The name of my router is Wilson Router, and I'll put in my password here. Now, the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to put in my password, save the file, eject the SD card, and I just go over and put it into the print. And so let me put in the password, and then we'll come back in a minute once the SD card is over in the print. Just going to continue in Windows because I figure most of my users or viewers, are using Windows. I've installed PuTTY on my machine, which is a telnet client that should let me SSH into the printer. Now, I've inserted the SSD card. Once I've inserted it, I powered on the printer, given it a couple minutes. That was another reason why I installed PuTTY. And now I'm just going to open up PuTTY and we'll connect to the printer. So I'm just going to put in the name of the printer, CR10 Smart Pro. So let's hit open. And then I'll let this accept. Now, the default password username for the CB1 is root. Password is root, and that should get us in. Now, it's prompting us to change the password, which is great. So let's go ahead and change that. So I changed the password. I like using ZSH, so I'm going to select that. And username, just use Mike, and changing the password for my account. So I'm just setting this up, and it'll take a minute. And North American, Chicago, so that's correct. And I want the number 2 here. Actually, this is much better than it was last time I installed this. So they have made some changes here and some updates with how this is all being set up. Now, what's happening is when I use PuTTY, I'm actually logging in because I put in my router name and password. And so now I'm connecting over to my device. So this is taking a minute to totally load. Now, what I'm going to do is, it looks like it's giving us some commands. Again, this is different than the last time I installed this. So I'm just going to copy this command, put it down here, and let's run it. And this should update all the packages. If you remember, this image was a year old. So there's going to be a lot of updates. Let me pause and we'll come back. So as you can see, I finished the update, and this did probably take about 10 or 15 minutes. Right now, this is just a clean image, doesn't have any of the Klipper components or anything I need installed. The way I'm going to handle this is I use the Klipper install and update helper. So I've brought up that repo in Chrome. I'm going to scroll down because I've installed everything. I'm just going to start with download and use the Klipper install and update helper. So let me copy this command, go back over to PuTTY, and I'm going to paste it in and run it. Now, what this is doing is making sure, again, everything's up to date, and it's also installing Git. And with Git installed, that'll allow me to download the install help. So we've done that. I'm going to now clone the repo. You'll notice it's sort of messed up there, so I'm just going to run the command again. This occasionally happens where it doesn't paste right. Now, in order to get started, I'm just going to go down here to the step 3, and then I should be in the update helper menus. We don't want this run as root, so I'm going to hit exit, and let's open PuTTY back up, and we'll connect with my account that we just created. And so I've had the commands. Let's open it back up. I've changed the font so you can see it better. Now you might ask why I didn't save my session. It's mainly because it's Windows, and I'm typically more comfortable in running this from a Mac. Let me go back over and copy the start code again. What I'm going to do is install it on my account rather than the root account. That's probably what I should have done to begin with. So let's just install it again, which is okay. I really don't mind this. I want to copy this command. Oops, might help to actually copy it. And this gets me into the Klipper install and update helper. And this is actually pretty easy to use. So let's just start with number 1, install. And we're going to install our components. So let's start with number 1, Klipper. And the default is 1 instance. The Klipper install and update helper can set up a Raspberry Pi to manage multiple printers. In my case, I'm just using a CB1. It's managing 1 printer. Since the default is 1, I'm just going to hit enter. And do I want a sample printer.config? We'll hit yes. That's installing. That'll take a minute. And installing, enter my password. Now, like I said, this takes a couple minutes to get everything installed. So I'll come back here momentarily. So once that's done installing, I'm just going to go down and do Moonraker, so number 2. And we're going to do the example config because I always do that. And again, this should take a couple minutes to install. So I'll be right back. I've completed installing Moonraker. And let's go right down to number 3 here. I'm going to install Mainsail. I want to do those sample configs. I'm going to leave it as the default port. I tend to use Mainsail over Fluid. So we're going to let that install. And I should point out, all told, getting everything installed on the CB1, and if you're using a Raspberry Pi on the Raspberry Pi, probably takes about 30 minutes. And that's with installing the image, as well as installing the Klipper install and update helper and all the various software you need. Now, just for the heck of it, we'll install Fluid, and that's going to put on port 81, which is fine. So if I just go to the name of the printer.local, that'll take me to Mainsail on a web browser. And then if I go to the name of the printer and port 81, that'll take me to Fluid. Let's go ahead and install number 5 here. Well, I don't need to do that because that's already done. So let's hit no. Now I am going to install Klipper screen because I might install a screen on this machine. I'm just going with all the defaults here, and I'll be back in a second. I finished installing Klipper screen. The last thing I'm going to install is Crowsnest. Crowsnest is for connecting the camera. So let me enter my password in here. So this is fairly straightforward. We're just going to let this install, and then we should be done with everything on the CB1. The last thing we need to do is, or the next step, is actually install Klipper on the printer. I'm going to pause for the night, and we'll come back in the next video and install and configure Klipper on the printer. So we'll let this finish, and then we'll wrap up for the night. In the install, it's asking me, do I want to add to the update manager? The answer is yes. So I want to go ahead and do that. I want to not reboot now. I'll reboot a little bit later. So right now, I have everything I need on the CB1 installed. And so in my next video, I'll actually install Klipper and configure it. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks. Have a good night.